basically the same. And then you're going to change just a word or two. So make it easy on yourself. But make that come up in conversation and put that on your resume and in your cover letter. It's very important to most employers. From Fortune 200s to small, you know, I'm a boutique firm. So, but to me, it's a deal killer. You haven't worked, you don't get an interview at my place.
What's a good enough?
That's okay.
What's a good enough cover letter like your standards? What do you see on average? And what?
Here's a cover letter. It's not long at all. In fact, I was talking to somebody about this. If you can't write what you need to say in 140 characters, Twitter language, you're really not going to have a hard time in the world. How many of you are on Twitter? Every single one of you needs to be on Twitter. Facebook?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Facebook and Twitter are the two leading social media paths, or channels as we call them. You absolutely have to be proficient. So how many times are you Twittering a day? Okay, 4 or 5 is good. You can't just Twitter once a day. You're not interesting that way. Okay? Now, should you Twitter about how you hate your psycho roommate? No. Should you have pictures of you straddling your boyfriend with a big beer bottle down your throat? No. We get on your Facebooks. Trust me, I found an intern with a nude shot and had to call him in and say, you're no longer going to be interning with us. And you think you can hide stuff? You can't. We can find you. And believe me, we have sophisticated filters. We can find you. And if I have any doubt, I will find you. Because my gut's usually right, so I just go and look you up on the internet. If you've been arrested, I'm going to find out. If you have a DUI, you cannot work in my firm. DUIs are prominent in your age group. Prominent. I had a student last week that had 2 DUIs. And he was a friend of a family. You know, his father called and asked me to courtesy him. So he could never work for me. Does it mean his life is over? No. Can you rebound from hardship? Yes. Do we all make mistakes when we're your age? Yes. But the price you will pay is you will not get a job at my firm. You can get a job somewhere else, but not at my firm. Because we have a different standard. Let's talk about commitment. Okay, because I like so many things too. You know, I do. I've traveled all over the world. I mean, I take classes right now. I'm taking a watercolor class, and I take Tai Chi. I'm interested in lots of different things. So you have your work life, where you get part of your interest satisfied. And then you have a volunteer life, where you satisfy your other things. But at the end of the day, if you're going to be successful, you have to commit. So pick one. You go.
It's hard to pick because I haven't experienced a lot of them.
Clue number 2, life is hard. Kids, it's not going to be easy. I can't open up your head and go, oh, you look like you could learn to speak Italian. Do that. You have got to decide. I don't know what your strong suits are. You've got to decide that. Now, a lot of you have mommies who will decide it for you, because you're the helicopter generation. My advice to you would be get as far away from your parents as you can. I told my own children this. You've grown up in a generation where you got a trophy for showing up. It will not be that way in your professional life. Quite the opposite. I have students say to me all the time, I don't understand why I got a D. I worked so hard in this class. Work ethic is not the same as work product. Okay? You showed up to every soccer game, you got a trophy. You're not going to get a trophy at work for showing up and working hard. You're expected to do that at a minimum. So if you have helicopter parents who like to say, oh, honey, come home, or I think you'd be a great teacher. If you don't want to teach, tell your mother with all the love you have, because your mother loves you too. Mom, I just don't want to do that. And then kindly walk away. Okay? I don't know what you should do. You know what you should do. Pick one. You look like you're pretty capable. I can size people up pretty quick. Pick one and go. Now, you don't know exactly what you want to do you? Anybody in here know exactly what they want to do? What do you want to do?
Media law, religion law.
Okay, well that's kind of a different course.
I'm just saying, like, I know exactly what
Okay, yeah. Like every now and then, every now and then you will find a person or two who knows exactly what they want to do. But most kids your age don't. It's fuzzy. So my advice to you, same advice I gave my kids. I didn't help any of my kids get jobs, by the way. Go in the general direction of what you love. Opportunities are going to be limited, but opportunities are largely self-made. Okay? Now, if you are in your shoes, you haven't done much, you're graduating, and you have nothing to show for it, essentially, except, you know, you've worked, and that's a big thing. If you tell them, listen, I had this idea, and I wanted to do this Italian festival, but I couldn't go to LA or New York where the big ones are. But I found out they have one in Safety Harbor. I called them up, I went over there and I worked 15 to 20 hours a week. I created this program and 20,000 people showed up. Boom. The employer's going, a thinker, a critical thinker, top level job. Okay? If you don't do that, and you wait for the world to come to get you, and when you graduate you start interviewing, you might be, you know, get a job with the flyer. It's your choice. It's your choice. Some people are quite happy to work at the flyer. Not me. Not me. But some people. So again, you know yourselves better than I know you. I'm telling you my perspective. And my perspective is unique. Okay? So opportunities are self-made. But do not forget that you are competing. So the trick, as far as I'm concerned, is how can you set yourself apart in that competitive world? How do they say, you are awesome, you, average, average, awesome? And you have to decide where you want to fit in that scheme. If you're happy to be average, knock yourself out. Average is easier. Average is easier. But if you want to stand apart, you've got to find and make opportunities. And then you have to be able to quantify them to the prospective employer. You can't say, I worked on Gasparilla. They're going to like, whatever. But you can say, you know, I worked with autistic children. We built a float. We entered it. You know, the Autism Association came out for the first time ever. They'd never been to Gasparilla. Oh, that's quantifiable. Okay? You've got to quantify everything you do. When students, first of all, I don't see any students that don't have their line on work. Their work online. So let's go back to that for a minute. If you want to interview in my firm, I'm going to say, what's your website? And you're going to say, oh, I don't have one. Well, I'm making it. And I'm going to say, okay, well, call me when you're done. Boom. And no, you're never going to call me back. And I'm not going to listen to you when you do, because you should know that when you call me. Okay? All of your work online. Now, what should your work online be? Well, y'all tell me. What do you think you should have online?
Portfolio, resume.
A resume?
Like links to your Twitter and other things that you have online?
Yes.
Examples of your work?
Yes. LinkedIn, yeah. I personally hate LinkedIn. I'm not going to put in people's email addresses. Are you kidding me? I know everybody. I'm not going to sit there and do that. But for students, y'all don't know anybody. You can, you know, y'all can find me on Facebook. My Twitter my Twitter handle is TeachPR. You can follow me. But yes, all of those things. But guess what employers care most about today?
Your ability to use the internet and
New media.
Web savvy, new media, social media. So can you build a website? Tell them that. Do you know how to move that website around on the internet? Tell them that. Can you get an audience on the internet? Tell them that.
Is it like impressive if you just use a domain though? Not like start from HTML?
Yeah, you don't really have to know HTML unless you want to be a programmer, and then you need to know it.
Right.
But for creative purposes, you don't need it. You really don't. There's so much stuff available right now. Although I prefer a custom site over a template, but most students, you know, do templates. That's fine. But you need to have everything on there. Now, so, you know, students send me their resumes all the time. I have professors such and such. I have to talk to a PR professional in the market. Would you talk to me? No, because you have 5 errors in your cover letter. So I will call you back then. I call every student back, and I will tell you, thank you so much for your interest in broad communications, but I can't see you because you don't know how to write a cover letter without typos. And the student goes, they swallow their tongue, or there's just dead silence because they don't know how to react. I'm not being mean. I'm giving you constructive feedback, but I will not see you. Are you kidding? Do you know what my time is worth? A lot more than sitting there with a kid who doesn't care enough to get typos out of their cover letter.